Hey there, y'all. I wanted to hit you with some real talk here, as I want to do. People, I've been watching some podcasts on people that I followed for a long time. My John Stewart, who's the OG and all that, and my Trey and my Mark, and my Tuesday night lineup needed to chill out, get away from the news when everything is the news these days, as it is. And I see the news today, and people are still freaking, and oh, Biden got to drop out, Biden got to drop out, and all this nonsense. Again, manufacturing a narrative, creating the news. That is journalistic malpractice. Let's get that straight, shall we? Because Kiev got hit, a hospital, a children's hospital, yesterday. 30 plus children dead. Are you hearing about that? Are you hearing about the GOP bill that got pushed through yesterday about kind of deregulation of energy efficient appliances? Oh, and they patting themselves on the back for that one. Oh, because that's all some woke thing, energy efficient appliances. No, it's not. It's cost effective. You know what happens when they're not energy efficient? You pay more on your bill. Look at our utilities going through the roof because they are price hiking and inflating their prices on purpose. And so the appliances become less energy efficient. You pay more on your bill. It just costs you money. You see how that works there? That bill ain't helping nobody. It's just costing you money. But who pays those GOP? The energy companies. Comes all back around now, don't it? Are you hearing about that in the news? There was some other random goofy ass bill they were pushing through today. Now, Biden is a smart man. Hopefully, he'd just kick that to the curb. But you see what I'm saying? They're pushing things that cost their people to go with some culture war nonsense that isn't even real. It is created, it is manufactured. So, coming back around, we see all the peer pressure. All these celebrities are stepping up, and all these people, yeah, I want Biden to step aside because I want Trump to lose. Duh. Did you just hear yourself? Listen to yourself talk. Again, I will say it as I did in my previous podcast. LBJ stepped back. We got Nixon. And somebody reminded me of something I watched last night. Was it Kennedy and Carter in the 70s sparred for the nomination? Split the Dems, we got Reagan. Look how that turned out. You pull your horse in the middle of the race, you will lose. You will lose. You want to pull Biden because you want to beat Trump, whoever comes in today starts at 0. 0. They're not going to catch up. And I understand what Jon Stewart was saying, and I understand what Trey and Mark were saying, and all of that. But I want people to be present and come back to reality. The peer pressure that's going on is like when you're in high school. The kids are going, oh, go smoke this, or go drink that, or go do this bad thing. Governance is a job, folks. It is not entertainment. It is not president. It is not about presentation. It is about, do they get the job done? Biden has got the job done. He has shown us this. I mean, honestly, I don't care if it's weekend at Bernie's at this point, because you're not electing a man, you're electing an administration. You are electing leaders who are on your side for the vision you want to have going forward. We don't want a Christo-fascist nation, so yeah, we want to stick with those who don't want a Christo-fascist nation. That's the way we want to go, so we need to coalesce, not divide, not succumb to the peer pressure. Because the media wants Biden to lose. The legacy media. But I was watching Mary Trump yesterday, and Brian Curran brought up a good point, as in their podcast, like, we are the media. Yeah, All of us independent folks out there, whether it be YouTube, TikTok, Facebook, creators of content, we are media too. We're just a different kind of media. We're not legacy media. And you need to ditch them. You need to ditch them. The only person I see talking about Project 2025 now is MSNBC, and Joy Reid's been on that for a long time because I watch her. She's was spouting it way back, and I'm like, thank God. And I thought other people would pick up the ball, and nope. That's not the agenda they want to push. People on the side of right are trying to push it. So watch where you get your media. Legacy media is dead. Cable, I don't even know anybody got cable. Everybody streams. And half of that's garbage. That's how you take the power back, folks. Tank their ratings. Don't buy their papers. Don't click on that. Go to their webpage where it says you want to comment or you want to make a suggestion. Tell them what is wrong with what they are doing. It is journalistic malpractice. Tell them why. Tell them the things you want to hear about. And not all this manufactured nonsense, this created news. But people are caving to it. And there's still all this division. When's the last time, and they brought this up, Danielle Moody did. When's the last time you've seen anything, one subject, rule the media for like 2 weeks? And it just keeps going and feeding itself. But when's the last time in politics, mind you, politics, was her emails? Look where that got us. People don't take the bait. I said, go on your socials. Go on their pages. They can block you on social media. They can, block you, erase it, dismiss it. You can put it on there, somebody catch it. But go to their physical web pages, New York Times, CNN, all of them, Boston Globe. Go on their web pages. Don't click on the articles because then it just feeds them for advertising. Go where it says contact us and write them. Write them. Because how do you know? One person. You say, I'm just one person. No. How do you know 100 other people haven't done it already and 100's not coming behind you? That we the people, a lot of us have forgotten. Or we've just, let it slide. Biden has proven himself. I will give you an example. SCOTUS ripped up the Constitution. They did. Go read the decisions. You do not have to be a lawyer to read them. They're a little jargony here and there, but it gives you the gist. You do not have to be a lawyer to read them. You can read them on SCOTUS.gov website. Go read them. I encourage you to. These last few decisions in this term ripped up the Constitution. They gave themselves ultimate authority. It was judicial malpractice. We're not talking about that. That should be hair on fire. Do you know what's holding our country together? As I've said before, this administration. Because you know why? We know he is a constitutionalist. He's an institutionalist. He will not take advantage of the situation. Yes, there are trap doors in there that bind him and hamstring him. But what if he just went YOLO? You only live once. I got one shot. I'm going to take it. Let's see what SCOTUS does. What can they do? They have no enforcement. Let's see what happens. He could do it. But he doesn't. Because he's not that kind of person. And think about that. As society. We just had our Constitution radically changed. It doesn't mean what it means anymore. You think the country would be in chaos. Everything falling down around us. But why isn't it? Well, fear is one. But the bigger picture around that is the majority of people, whether they would love him or hate him or want to, be a cult member and say, no, he's terrible. There's an administration in there, in the House, that we trust. we know he's not going to take advantage or take for granted what SCOTUS just did. Any person with another kind of character would. And we would be in chaos right now. So think about that. People obviously trust that he's going to do the right thing so we can go about our lives and get to the election and then get through this. So do you see what I'm trying to bring everybody back down to Earth 1 that we live on? There's somebody already done proved himself. It is up to us to prove ourselves. The coalition that was formed in France, there was a lot of people had to step back to make that happen. And it's going to be messy. It's going to be nasty. And I saw Jon Stewart. I mean, he's the GOAT, and I love him, but I have to respectfully push back. I understand why everybody is hair on fire in the media, just because everybody's anxious and everybody's frustrated, and they see the systems we have in the place and they don't like them. I don't like them either. Ask anybody who knows me. I have been screaming for term limits and age limits and all of this stuff that needs fixing for decades. Yeah, the system we have is not ideal. I'm not saying it's not, and I'm not saying that's not a conversation we need to have. But look at the timing. Again, LBJ and Carter, look what happened. Every time they try to pull something, the side that wants to make things better and progress as a country, we lose. And then we get the radicals in there. Then we get the ghouls. And we get the trickle-down economics and all of this nonsense that we are still trying to clean up. The messes. I feel like whack-a-mole. One goes and you get that one, you get the other one. No, we need, as people, to coalesce and create a coalition of those that know what is at stake. Again, Project 2025, people, Joy Reid's doing something on it, on her show now. Like, here, what's happened last night? It was the Department of Education. You know, they're bringing it out there. And if you don't think, oh, it was not going to affect me, it's going to affect somebody you know. It's going to affect your family. Do not think because you wear a red hat, you're exempt. Othering is an easy thing to do when you are a tyrant bent on some fever dream delusion of power and control. Did Hitler not teach us that? Be smart people. Bring yourselves back down to reality. Yes, we have 4 months, and Mark and Trey were talking about it last night. Oh, we've got 2 months. We can do something. No. Step back. Boys, stop clutching your pearls. I love you, boys, but come back down to earth and take a breath. The Democratic Party has its own system. The Democratic Convention has its own system. I don't know much about it because it's that wonky, crazy, convoluted to me. So I can't speak on it. I just know there's delegates, there's super delegates, there's teams. It's got to go through this process and that process. It's not like open convention. Anybody get up on that stage. I mean, they can try, but they have a process and procedure for everything, even getting somebody in. And Shea Biden says, oh, all right, I'm tapping out. Again, whoever walks in the door starts at zero. So it's not up to the convention. We have 2 months. Because France and their stuff, again, different kinds of populations. Theirs is much smaller than ours. They have much different rules than we do for their elections process. Look, Macron called a snap election. We can't do that here. Again, there's a process to everything. There's procedures, there's rules, there's laws. We can't just do that kind of thing. We have established protocols in place. So, that's why I want everybody to come down a little bit. I want everybody to calm down. Because the Democratic Party has its own way of doing things different than the Republicans. I'm not real much on the history of politicking back in like the 50s and 60s when the party switched. But I do think a lot of that seems to be some of it's woven in there. Don't quote me. I fully admit I don't know enough about the DNC and all of that rule book that's, like Project 2025. I mean, it just seems like a lot. Um, and I think some of it seems to be like a holdover kind of thing from some of that stuff back then, where the old Dems back in the day, the Strom Thurmond Dems, the Southern Democrats, they wanted it convoluted to keep that power. You see, um, in a way that kind of, anything left from that has stymied things in being more streamlined and effective. But pull it now, we will lose. I don't care who you put in there. I don't care if it was the biggest person in the world. I don't, maybe, but that's why we all need to come back down to reality. Quarterback said, "This is the play. We got to back that play." You want Trump to lose? You pull the horse in the middle of the race. He won't, because you're causing confusion to people. We know Biden's old. We know he's not on. He's not the greatest as far as presentation. But here's another thing they brought up that I will relay. Now, I know in 20 we were looking at something, anything to get us out of the mess we were in. And Biden came on. And, okay. And a lot of people thought of him as a backstop. But when you get incumbency does have benefits. You get a benefit of the doubt, because the majority of incumbents through the course of our history have went on to have a second term. So we always had that in the foreground, that maybe he would just do the one and done, but there's a potential that maybe he want to continue and do the full 8 years. So that's not like it was never out there in the wind for us to know this. So don't act like it's all a surprise and everybody get their panties in a bunch. You see, I'm saying come back down to reality. Think about the bigger picture. There are a lot of moving pieces in play here, people. A lot of moving pieces. We all don't want Trump to win and that Project 2025 to come to fruition, because it is game over then. It'll be a refugee crisis of people leaving. But you got to back the smart plays. We, as people, we have to step up and we have to do our part. And we have to own that we are responsible for some of the mess and the ghouls getting in the back door, because we weren't paying attention. We have to be responsible adults in the room and accept, hey, we fucked up. We weren't paying enough attention. We weren't involved enough. We weren't engaged enough. We didn't vote that time. Man, yeah, we gotta own that, folks. We the people go by the wayside and think that the people that we elect are the ones that, if we don't relate to them what we want and how we want it to go, they're just gonna go do their thing. Look, the GOP just got bought by billionaires. We all have to come together, work with what you got, and expand. There's no silver lining. I don't like how things are. I think there should be age limits, term limits, all of that. But we are not in that place, and you cannot change that right now with the legislature we have, and it's after the fact. So all of those going about that, I understand you're screaming to the wind. It's horrible. I get it. But we don't have a majority. We ain't doing nothing. They're passing bills to deregulate energy efficient appliances. This is where they are. Come on. You see what I'm coming at here? Work with what you got and build from there. Build from that. I mean, we have seen the judicial malpractice was bad enough last Monday before last. And all of those decisions that came down in the final end. I mean, that's another thing you guys really need to focus on. I'm sorry, I'm still using the phone. I got the microphone, but the damn thing, I can't get it to work. Don't like my computer. Then it did, and then it didn't, and I got feedback, and I'm just like, forget it. I ordered a different, more simple one. Hopefully that'll work. But we're just gonna stick to the phone for now. Back to the point. I don't think people realize how much SCOTUS and what they did has just torn the rug out under everything. And they are doing it from a place of authority and ruling, as in they are the supreme of beings ruling us little peons down here. I will give you examples. The Constitution says, for the well-being and general welfare of the public. I'm paraphrasing, but those words are in there, as is our Declaration of Independence. All the founding documents have something about the general public well-being and welfare. Did SCOTUS honor that? Are they being constitutional when the Cargill case, for instance, the bump stock case? Ellie Mastal, I picked up on this and I thought I was reading it wrong. Like I said, I'm not a lawyer. But I'm looking like they were taking it from the point of the gun. The person holding it's an afterthought, and we on the other side of that gun, not a peep. Ellie Mastal made a good point about that. Yeah, they ruled from the view of the gun. Not the people. Not anything to... There is no mention, even in Tala and the mifepristone. The women that those affect for reproductive rights and health care? Afterthought. The one, there's no mention. Make it make sense. The EPA versus Ohio. Oh, polluters, go pollute. Not the people that affects. We're an afterthought. Even the immunity case. It is the people versus Trump. It was wholly unconstitutional anyway, but no mention of us as people who this affects, except him and his sycophantic circus. Do you see where I'm coming from? I'm trying to break it down very simply for you. They hold us in such contempt. We're not even considered on how these rulings affect us. Because they have an end game, people. They have their own game plan. They have their own agenda. Don't want to represent, they want to rule. So that's why I'm saying, everybody take a breath, calm it down a little bit, and look at the bigger scope. Yeah, have your moments. Like I said, we all freaked out. You know, I understand Jon Stewart's freaking out, and I understand what he's saying, and I don't disagree with him. But we have to work with what we have. And right now, the structure ain't great. And the framework that we're working from is not ideal. And you go messing with that too awful much, you're liable to shoot yourselves in the foot. So I'm just asking everybody to take a pause, take a minute, and come back down to reality. If you don't know anything about democracy in this sense, or even what it means to say we the people, then go learn, go read. They're very short, they're not long, and they're pretty straightforward. Are there holes? Are there flaws? Absolutely, but we were meant to improve upon them, and then somebody decided in their infinite wisdom we're going to hold the Constitution in amber like a fossil. No. We have to take the power back, people. We, the people. I understand these are big problems and these are big conversations that we need to have. But we have to look at where we stand right now, and are these conversations productive and going to move it forward? Right now, it's just tearing everything apart. It's destroying rather than creating. And I blame the legacy media for this journalist, this journalistic malpractice. I know I've been going on really quick, and I probably said like medical malpractice because by mistake, but because I'm really pissed at the healthcare system right now. So that's all. If I misspoke, I apologize. I'm ranting really quick. I'm trying to make it short. But you know what I'm saying. The journalistic malpractice. Not reporting on what is going on. There's wars. There's Ukraine. There's Israel. There's Gaza. There's Sudan. People don't even know there's a war in Sudan. People, wake the fuck up. Stop feeding them. Complain. Tell them this is not the news you want. They are pushing the agenda they want you to see. And I've heard from a lot of folks that they're tired of it. They don't want it. They want them to shut the fuck up and talk right. Like, this is bullshit. It's creating more peer pressure and more this and more that. We should not be sitting here dividing ourselves, because no matter what, it's not helping the situation. It's not productive. It's not constructive, because it's not moving anything forward. It's just ripping things down, and you think you're going to plop something in there that's going to make it work. We ain't in the Wizard of Oz, people. This is not a movie. Governance is a job. It's not entertainment. Not pay-per-view. So, I'm just saying, make a point to disconnect from the noise. The goal is, what kind of country do you want? Do you want a Christo-fascist authoritarian military state? Or do you want the democracy that we have, this constitutional republic, and the ability, wobbly as it is, and as knackered as it is sometimes, we have the capacity to progress and do better. It is meant to do that. But we as people have dropped the ball on our part for not pushing for it. So, when they say Biden got to prove himself, we got to ask ourselves, what are we going to do to prove ourselves? Because it is our time to prove ourselves. We have been lulled and allowed it to get to this. Yeah, there's many groups behind the scenes working. And they're not talking about that either. There's good people doing the work, doing the job in the administration, on the outside, trying to play the whack-a-mole game the GOP is throwing at us. And there's, let's call them what they are. They're not conservatives anymore. They're radicals. They want Christo-fascism. We're not the radicals because we just want to live in peace and do better in our lives and achieve a better country. But we can't be lazy about it. And we've been lazy. And we got to own that, folks. We got to own it. You know? We got to own. Not everyone. And there's people that have been from minute one. They're always in the game. I'm not saying that. But there's a lot of people, myself included, for many years in my low information time. And I didn't care. Whatever. I didn't do it either. I admit it. I didn't get engaged. I didn't get involved. You know, life happens, and I understand that. But we are at that end game. We need everybody to come together and push the media to get on point. Report news, not the news they want you to hear. Go on their web pages, call them out. If you want to do it on the socials and they won't delete it, more power to you. See if that works. Go on your TikToks. Go on your Facebooks. Go on your Insta. Go on all of them and say, no more. We stand with Biden. We stand with the administration. Remember, folks, it would be utter chaos if we didn't have somebody that had a level head and would stay the course. After those decisions came down, ripping away the administrative state, the things that protected us in favor of those who don't want to protect us. Somebody could have taken that and the lawsuits are already coming. They are. They've already started their lawsuit march. Yeah, they've already started their lawsuit march. That minute one, challenging all of these various rules and stuff they can get away with. This is what we gotta. It's whack-a-mole. We gotta stop this nonsense. We gotta stop it. It is up to we the people, and we have an administration that didn't take that power for granted. The things they could do, or Biden saying I'm going to YOLO it and see what I can get away with. He's not doing that because we know at heart he is doing this for the people of this country. Whether you are an R or a D or an I or anything in between, he's doing it for everybody. And you got to give props for that. Because if it was Trump, we would already be in the Mad Max. We trust that. We want to take and build on what we have with trust going forward. That's what we want to keep. And if you want to tear everything down right before we get to the finish line, you're just going to fuck it up, people. So let's get back to reality. Let's call it out. Let's use constructive things that we as people can do to bring others in and say, hey, look, this is what's happening. You got to vote. Because really, that's all you got to do. You got to get people to show up. If we blow it out the water, we can do this. So that's all they really got to do to get involved. But educate them. Educate people. Go look these things up. Like I said, read the SCOTUS decisions and have your mind blown, because everybody should. And why it's not being reported on the daily, I'm just because it is hair on fire stuff, folks. I mean, I am not fronting. No way. Like I said, I'm not a lawyer. I'm not a jurist of any kind. I just know basic stuff about the law, but I know what I read, and I follow people who do know the law. And they are even like, what the fuck? You have people saying what SCOTUS did was unconstitutional by their own reasoning. So I'm just saying, people come down, get it together, get back on Earth One, and come up with constructive ways that we can get people engaged and going forward. Stop the threat that is coming. Not destroying and tearing down. Dems are so bad about that, eating themselves from within. Sorry, my dogs are barking. That's a sign I gotta go. So y'all take it easy. Peace out.